Welcome to the Manuchehri podcast. Over the last 30 years, it has been my joy to assist humanity in aligning with their magnificence so they may heal, discover their natural gifts, and communicate with loved ones living on the other side. May you also experience delight while we dance in the powerful, intuitive world of energy. Let's get going. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Energy Meets the Divine. Today, because I'm a little bit short of time, I'm going to go straight to the questions. Plus, I think there's a lot of teachings that will occur with the questions, with the answers and the questions. So we're going to go just straight ahead over to the questions and get going. Who knows, maybe there'll be some fun things to see as I close, but we're going to go right ahead. Thank you so much.
Hey Marie, I'm calling in from Ohio and I'm inquiring about the relationship between my mom and me. I feel like growing up, her and I were very close. We're very aligned in our beliefs and how we viewed the world and certain things. And we still are to a degree, but as I've gone into my mid to late 20s, I feel like politically we've been disagreeing on a lot of things that feel very important to me. And I feel a lot of stress and strain there because I'm trying to hold space for her emotions. I'm trying not to judge when I'm hearing something that feels disappointing or that I really don't agree with. I'm trying not to make her feel bad for having her own viewpoints. And at the same time, the woman that has nurtured my compassion, who is compassionate and sensitive herself, sometimes doesn't sound compassionate in her answer of these disagreements that we sometimes have. And so I just wanted to know if you could check in on that relationship between us and see if there's anything that I can do to try and help this part of our relationship along as we continue to grow. I love my mom so much. I want her to grow and evolve as much as she wants to in this life, and I also want that for myself, but I also want that for us in our relationship too. And yeah, if I just worry that I'm gonna lose her, like that's the fear that comes up for me, is that I'm gonna lose her and we're gonna be strangers to each other, because sometimes it feels shocking that she feels this way about certain things that feel so important to me that I feel like a compassionate person could easily understand and be on the side that I'm on, and she's a compassionate person, but it doesn't always feel like she's on my side, or meaning that we just don't always agree on things that feel important. And also, as we're trying to talk it out, it sounds like we just are not understanding each other correctly either, which can sometimes lead to unnecessary back and forth and confusion. Any advice you have on that would be so deeply appreciated, and thank you for all the work that you do in the world. Have a good day.
You're welcome, Emily, and I'm sorry this is happening to you, but this is not that unusual because you are a full-fledged adult now and you're communicating probably even more succinctly than you have before. And what you're discovering, because I don't think your mother's changed. I think she's always been this way. I think you had a perception of her level of compassion. You made assumptions, which is often what older soul empathic people do, is they have a tiny conversation with someone and there's an agreement and they think, oh, we believe the same. We have the same value system. But I don't think anything's changed about your mother. She's always been this way. Always. One of the things we're finding out on Earth, now that things have actually become more concrete from, maybe the more progressive side where things are more difficult and challenging and we don't want things to be a certain way, you get to find out pretty quickly who aligns with that and who doesn't align with that. So you're not going to change your mother. It's not your responsibility to get her to grow or change. That's her responsibility. She disagrees with you completely on many topics, by the way. And I know this is disappointing, but that's kind of what happens when you're a kid and you grow into an adult and you are flying your wings in unique and curious ways. The people who raised you are not always going to agree with what you think or say, even though you thought all along you were in agreement, but you probably weren't. I'm sure you weren't. I'm positive you weren't. So I think you shouldn't talk about politics with your mother because I don't see this resolving. I don't see her changing her point of view. And so I just don't think you can talk to her about it. But if you want the relationship to be the way it was from your perspective, this topic has to go off shelf. And I think that's the right thing to do anyway, because you say you love her. I mean, I think you misperceived her in terms of compassion, because true compassion is for everyone, right? It doesn't matter someone's age, ethnicity, religion, gender, none of that matters. Compassion is, as you know, across the board. Not everybody feels that way. They have compassion for certain people. When I was married, and my uncle and aunt, who used to live in Emmett, Idaho, really tiny town, I think I've shared this before. My uncle had been the sheriff for years in this tiny town in Idaho. A lot of my mom's family comes from Idaho. So I've been there many, 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 many times. And it's a conservative, not very progressive at this time, part of the United States. And it was that way too when I was quite young, or, a young mother. And my children are bicultural. Their dad has darker skin. He definitely looks foreign. I mean, to me, I don't even understand what that means, but from my mother's side of the family, that would have been a phrase that they would say. And they all met him, of course, the day we got married and all of that. But I never would take him to Idaho. I just didn't feel like it was even safe. I'm not saying my uncle would have done anything, but maybe some people in the town, after having too many drinks, I just didn't trust them at all. So I would only bring my kids, and they were quite young, and I never discussed with them the reasons why their dad wasn't coming. I think he was probably, oh yeah, you're going to hang out with my buddies for a week while you go to Idaho with your family. But I just didn't trust him. So prejudice and racism and gender inequality and misogyny has been a very high truth for a lot of people in the United States. Just so many people didn't talk about it because it wasn't brought up. It wasn't something that we had to discuss unless, you lived in certain areas and you were a person of color or a woman and there were some challenges, then there needed to be some conversations, which didn't always go in the way that maybe a progressive person would want it to go into. So there's a lot of people, and I'm talking about the US right now, where it's just becoming obvious, where people feel more comfortable to express their real beliefs, which I think is fortunate. I want to know what people think and believe. I want to know that. I mean, I already know intuitively. Obviously, even before I knew I was an intuitive, I wouldn't let my children's father travel with us. So I know this is a rude awakening for you, but I also want you to know that even though this political topic seems to be the issue, I think a lot of young adults, people who are really confident and comfortable in their adulthood, feel what you're feeling on this topic or other topics when it comes to their relationship with their parents. I think it's almost normal that you're going to, stray away from the family line in terms of belief systems. I think that's normal. I think it's healthy. I expect it. I anticipate it. And what a lot of young adults don't realize is that very few people, once they reach adulthood, unless they're truly seekers of inner growth, do not change their beliefs. They stay steadfast into them. And so that's why it's almost unfair in a way to ask people to be different so you can have a relationship. So you're going to have to accept your mother the way she is. And I'm not saying not having conversation. I'm saying set a boundary. I set a boundary with all the people who have different beliefs than I do about really crucial and important things for me. I don't hide my beliefs. I don't pretend that I don't have them, which I think is a big mistake. I think that's why we've gotten in a lot of trouble in the US. People just didn't talk about important things like religion and culture and race and gender. We just didn't talk about it. And everybody thinks that that's the better way to go. Well, it's not, because then everyone's surprised that a whole bunch of people don't believe the same. So I think you just need to be comfortable with the fact that it's not your job to fix your mother, change her. You have to accept her the way she is and tell her, I don't agree, if you want to, with these aspects that you believe in, that you feel strongly about, I'm going to choose not to discuss them so I can maintain a relationship with you. That's how I would describe it, so that she's clear that you're not changing your mind, because this is how we also teach other people. I was having a service done. I won't say what type of service. And I already knew the person who was doing the service had different political beliefs than I do. I mean, significantly so. And this person was, having a little hard time with some of the things that have changed with the current administration, even though this person had voted 3 times for this administration. And I just turned my head to this person and said, but you voted for this administration 3 times. I go, yeah, I know. So I think we have to stay in the truth of who we are and what we believe in, and stop getting these get out of jail free cards for people that we're just going to excuse their belief systems or pretend they didn't have them. How else are we going to expect people to change and become progressive? That's what evolution is all about. It's kind of like, when we look at religious texts throughout the world, much of what was written in those texts were written for centuries that no longer exist. They don't really contribute to modern life. And people can stay steadfast in the decipher of what that means and follow that to the letter. But that's not progressive. That's not moving forward. That's not consciousness. That stubbornness, choosing to stay stuck in something that makes no sense and isn't contributing to the well-being of the human realm by using the translation, so specifically in terms of something from the 13th century. So welcome to adulthood. And I don't know your age. I'm sure you're not, you're not 18. I know that. But I just feel like this part that I'm talking about, that you're shocked by your mother's beliefs. I think every, young person who has felt very comfortable and confident, maybe even because of the way they were raised, to feel a certain way and to believe a certain way and vote a certain way and be perceived a certain way, that the majority of the time their parents do not agree with everything that they believe in. And I think that's normal and natural and part of the evolutionary process. So love your mom. Stop trying to fix her. Stop trying to protect her. Stop trying to, think that you get to change her. You can't. It's not your job. She doesn't get to change you either. You get to have your own belief systems, but just don't talk about politics. I don't see it going anywhere fast in a good way. So take it off the table, but set a clear boundary with her that you don't agree, support, and that you're disappointed in her lack of progression. But you love her, and we're never talking about this again unless there's significant change. That's what I would do. Okay, hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Wanda. Oh my God, I've been watching you now for over a year. I've taken a few of your classes.
Thank you.
And I'm reaching out to see if you're able to tell me what is it that my soul or my path is leading me towards. I am so addicted to your podcast. I love everything about energy healing. I find myself sort of saying, oh, maybe try this and this what if question. I love energy healing. I'm just starting to get into homeopathic remedies.
Nice.
I think they're fascinating.
They are.
I work in the corporate world and I do love my job, the people I work with. But I almost feel like I'm being tugged somewhere else. And anyway, so I was wondering if you could give me a reading. I really appreciate everything you do and the energy that you bring. Oh my God, you're so uplifting, especially listening to you in the Midwest, 12 o'clock noon my time at lunch. It's amazing. Thank you, Marie, for everything you do. I much appreciate you taking this question. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Wanda. I don't think you love your job. I think you like it. It's okay. I think you're bored, actually. I think you do love the people you work with. You love people. People love you, and you have that very loving, bubbly, high vibrational energy. I think you've already got the answer to this question. You're already diving into not hypnotherapy, although that could be another one. It's true, but it had to do with herbs. I forget the term right now. So clearly you want to move into holistic health and healing, and I think you should go for it. I think you should study it, follow your joy, follow your bliss, and you already are. You already are. So homeopathy, that's what it was, which is awesome for kids. I don't think homeopathy works as quickly or as extensively in adults as it does with children. I think children's system is still so fresh and so cognizant of its connection to the universe that it can take homeopathy and have wild, fantastic, positive effects in a very short period of time. Adults were a little bit more hardwired, so homeopathy doesn't always work as quickly. So, yeah, keep studying energy. Anything that makes you happy, study it and then leave your job and start your own practice. Or, you know what a lot of people like to do is go part-time, take a sabbatical, take a leave of absence, whatever's going to make you feel secure in your mind about choosing a career path that is more soul connected to you, because your job is not. It's nothing wrong with it, but there's not a soul connection other than the people in terms of your career. So that's what I think. I hope that's helpful.
Hi, Marie. My name is JJ and I'm from New Zealand. I'm in my early 30s and I've never been in a relationship. So I don't know how to begin imagining what that would be like to even start creating it in my reality. And all throughout my teenage years to most of my 20s, it's felt really natural to be single, and I enjoy basking in my own energy. So to shift from that perspective to one where I'm in a relationship has been daunting. And the reason why I feel this desire to be in a relationship now is that about a year and a half ago, I was talking to a much older gentleman, and I caught a glimpse of myself in my head where I was in a relationship.
Cool.
And the feeling I felt inside of me was so light and so fun. I felt naturally giving and loving. And I have never known this feeling before. And I never knew this feeling existed inside of me. So I've been on dating apps, and while I don't have a problem finding dates, I feel like I'm being rushed along on a timeline that doesn't feel natural to me in developing deep relationships. I've had to either use unnecessary energy and words to explain to people what feels natural to me, or on the other hand, I've just given up, not said much, and just let people misunderstand me, none of which works, and in fact, not saying anything has felt worse than speaking up. Now, when I think about relationships, I feel so triggered because it's as if my whole belief system has been rocked to the core. And what seems natural to me is not natural in the world of relationships. Right. And I've always been able to hear the voice of my intuition as if someone is speaking to me in my head. So I've never questioned it before. But there's just too much noise right now for me to really hear my intuition around this matter. And the only thing that my intuition has said to me is that you are your own soulmate. And once you figure that out, you can create anything in your reality. And I'm not actually sure if this is really coming from my intuition because I was asleep when I heard this phrase. And also I thought I had already figured out that I am my own soulmate. So what am I missing here?
Hello, JJ. Great question. First of all, I think it's cool to be single at any age. And I think that's what we're finding out now that we're taking away all of these have-tos. We have to get married. We have to have children. We have to be married to have children. We're taking away a lot of old paradigms that just no longer fit the way that we're growing, on Earth. So yeah, I think the dating world is going to feel a little off for you because collectively the human race is not in the high frequency of relationships. There are people that have high frequency relationships. I'm blessed to know people who do, which is incredible, but it's not the norm. So most people are entering relationships out of desperation and fear and anxiety. And so you already are comfortable being single. A lot of people are not comfortable being single. So they're working really fast to not be single. When what they probably need to do is to be single for a while so that they can have that truth that you feel that you are your best soulmate. And so that's what it's going to feel like to you when you enter into a relationship with someone who is in a high frequency and high vibration that you are in about relating, is it's going to feel like you are dancing with yourself, and that soulmate relationship will feel very familiar. That piece will be. And people aren't going to understand. Who cares if people understand you or not? It doesn't matter. You don't need to waste your time trying to figure that out or trying to make people understand. You probably are saying, hey, I need to take it slow. I really want to become friends and grow a relationship naturally. I guess if it gets to that point, and in terms of having that type of conversation, and some people may not understand that, but you just have to continue having fun and dating people and figuring out who you are in connection with others, and just not worry about this so much. Don't take it so seriously. Don't be worried about it. You don't have to be pushed. I think you're learning a lot about yourself. And what I heard is you have to learn to be receptive, because that's something you're not good at. Single people are very good at taking care of their own and getting stuff done, but they're not so good at letting people in their life to help them. And that's what a healthy union is about. It's about coming together to have fun, to play, have adventures, but to ultimately support each other. And a lot of people who've been single for a long period of time don't understand that concept because they've never let people in. So what I hear is you need to work on your receptivity. And so to be receptive also means you don't care if people get what you're talking about. If they can't get what you're talking about, they're not the right person for you in terms of an intimate relationship. I would work on making friends in this dating aspect that you're doing, creating friendships. Because ultimately, I think people who are in a great bond are friends first and foremost. Yeah, that's what I think. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Mary. My name is Viki, and I live in Brighton, in England.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to know how to deal with being tired and feeling exhausted, from which I think it could be the start of me discovering how to work out my mediumship. I've read a lot of books, started to do a lot of work on myself. After going through tremendous depression from a very young age, and I started to see a ball of lights when I'm about to fall asleep. Big bright orange lights in the corner of the room. I have very vivid dreams that would come into sequences, as well as I would hear names, my name or other people's name, and I think I'm very scared of it, or I used to be very scared of it, but now I'm just feeling exhausted and I'm trying to understand the patterns, and now I think it's linked to maybe when someone is passing, I feel very, very, very exhausted. I can't go to sleep, and usually I would receive a news a few days after telling me that so and so has passed.
Right.
So it happened 3 times in the last 2 months, and now I'm starting to understand the pattern. Also, premonition dreams. So my question is, how do we deal with being tired and feeling exhausted, and how to also communicate with the people that are desperately trying to get in touch with you?
Right.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your work, and really love your podcast. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year. Bye.
Oh, thank you so much. So we know that was in January. And of course, today I'm recording on September 3rd, 2025 in the Pacific Northwest. So energy work, mediumship, all of that's supposed to bring you energy. And the fact that you can't go to sleep is because you're excited. But I think what you're noticing is, Viki, you're noticing that when you become present, you're actually already tired. I think you're already tired. I think you're wiped out. I think you're exhausted. I don't think you get real rest. I don't think you run your energy high enough to give yourself the subatomic particles to bring you joy. I think you leak a lot of your own energy. So that's what's happening is when you become present, you're noticing, oh, I'm tired. But when you're having that experience, you can't go to sleep because you're excited. So we need to get you to raise your vibration. That means you have to get authentically happy when you're not in bed, when you're in your daily life, about normal, fun, interesting things. That's the true experience we have when we're present. Everything becomes alive, more interesting, viable, fascinating, more beautiful, because we're actually able to exchange energy even with objects that don't seem like they're alive, but everything is alive with energy. And when you're laying in bed and the orbs appear, just speak with your mouth first, because it takes a little while to gain mental telepathic communication, because you're still in your brain analyzing and processing and trying to translating intuition through your mind, which you can't. Nobody can. The brain doesn't understand intuition. You have to get out of your head. You have to be even more present. But speak out loud. Hello, I'd love to help. What can I do for you? I'm ready. And raise your vibration. That means you got to get happy, but authentically happy. Like, what makes you happy? Because when I look at your energy, I can't see your joy. You're vibrating at about 40%. So if we were to measure vibration from 0 to 100, the minimum we need to be at is 65 to start manifesting and creating what we want. It'd be great to be at 75%. And what allows our vibration to increase is feeling authentic joy. That's where everything is, in the joy. Everything's in the joy. So even as I'm sitting here, it's 6:31 p.m. in the Northwest. It won't get dark till about 8:15. But it's like that golden time, everything looks so pretty as the sun's starting to get lower and lower. And the hydrangeas out my window are stunning, even though I haven't watered them recently. They're stunning. Just the whole room seems so much more alive. Charles is laying down on the ground next to me, follows me everywhere all day long throughout the entire house. I can't even go to the bathroom without him, which I think is adorable, by the way. I think it's adorable. So there's so much joy that can be had, but you have to be present and start to feel the energy so you can connect to your environment and start to understand what brings you personal joy. Not everybody gets happy from hydrangeas or dogs or light. I do. And I'm sure there are others who do too, but you need to figure out from your own individualization what brings you joy. And then you need to embrace that, connect with it, repeat it. I have hydrangeas planted all around my house, peonies too, because I know they will make me happy. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to have my yard redone, and the big request I had is flowers blooming year round. Flowers blooming year round, because I know that's going to make me happy. So there's nothing wrong. You need to get your energy elevated, start speaking out with your mouth. Be happy that you're excited about something. That's so important to know that. And I think that once you raise your vibration, you're going to have a different perception about things. You'll be able to see it as excitement versus tired. Although I will agree with you, when you get really excited about something, you don't always get enough sleep, and then you get tired. But that's just part of it. That's just part of you calibrating your energy system to be in a different frequency so you can have different experiences. And that makes it exciting. When I think everyone knows I taught a retreat recently in Ireland, and it was the first time I've used a hotel. I usually rent villas and we spend, all of our meals together. And it was so nice because my energy would be so high while I'm teaching that I could go to my hotel room and take a nap, right? I could rest instead of having to go have meals with each other. I could have meals with people if I wanted to, or I could order food into my room, but I could go up to my room and be really excited because in a few hours, my energy is going to want to take a nap, right? So take a nap during the day. If you get excited at night and you can't fall asleep because you're having this cool interaction, you have to start changing your perception of what you think is occurring and start to look at it from intuition, because that's where all the answers are, is in the intuitive fold of your consciousness. Okay, and I just want to remind everyone I have classes coming up. A self-love class starts in September. I believe it's on the website anyway. And then I'm teaching another course on identifying and healing health issues in your body, which is really exciting. One of my favorite things to teach. And then I'll be teaching on the Shift Network. That hasn't come out yet, but as soon as I have the go-to promote that, I will let you know. and it will be about translating insight. That'll be a fun class for sure. Thank you, everyone. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Enjoy what's left of our summer weather, and hopefully everyone's getting back to school in a very fun and exciting way as well. Bye-bye.